Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be jumping on Tier Maker and I'm going to be grading every AFL team season in 2022. I did this last year, I did this in 2020, and I'm back here to do it again. It's kind of becoming a yearly tradition to do this at the end of every season. So here are the tiers right here. We've just got A+, A, B, C, D, and E. We've got all the teams there. Just before we start, it means the absolute world if you could hit that subscribe button. It's coming to the footy off season, which always means harder times for us footy creators. So subscriptions and memberships and whatever you can to help the channel. Help the channel more than you could ever imagine. So please hit the subscribe button and do whatever you can to support over this off season. Alright, let's start off with the Adelaide Crows. There wasn't a lot of expectation going in from the broader AFL fan base, the community. I actually had a little bit of hope in them. I thought I saw some really good signs last year. They've taken it up to the best this year. Look, they lost to Freo by a point. They lost to Collingwood by a few points. I think they beat Carlton at the Adelaide Oval, but just a quick reminder, Carlton didn't actually make finals. So yeah, that's just a quick reminder. Obviously, they beat Port Adelaide with an after the siren goal in the showdown at the start of the year. They beat Richmond. They beat the Western Bulldogs. Bloody hell. They did have a pretty good year, a pretty underrated year, the Adelaide Crows. I think they stuck with Melbourne for a whole game until the Demons pulled away in the end. I think Adelaide had a really underrated year. They stuck it up to the best. It's all about consistency over the next few years, and where Matthew Nicks can find the strong parts of the young Adelaide core and execute it well. I'm actually going to put the Crows in a C tier, and I think it could really build to a B or an A over the next few years. A lot of people in the AFL community don't have hope in the Crows or belief in them, but I'm a heavy Adelaide Crows believer. I really like the footy that they play when they're at their best. The Brisbane Lions, I'm going to give them, I feel like I should be giving them a B, but I think I need to give them an A, because I don't think you can be in B when you've just made a prelim final. Making a prelim from 6 after a pretty average regular season. I had a few massive wins over the likes of North Melbourne and West Coast, but apart from that, they got smashed. They got touched up by Melbourne by 10 goals twice during the regular season, then somehow beat them in the semi-final. The finals run is what really pushes them into A. Beating Richmond by a few points at the Gabba, beating Melbourne at the MCG, then flunking out to Geelong in a prelim is you can't even be down at yourself for that. Geelong is just, we're easily the best team of the comp this year. I think they can build on this. Josh Dunkley looks likely to make his way up to the Lions over this trade period. So yeah, Brisbane, they'll keep on building with depth, they'll keep on building with talent. A midfield and McCluggage, Neal and Dunkley will be something to be reckoned with. So Brisbane's midfield will be really scary in 2023 if the Dunkley trade does go through. I've got hope for the Lions, and I think they had a decent season this year when you talk finals, because if you make a prelim, you have to be an A. Carlton is such an interesting one, because I don't feel like you can miss finals but be a B. But it's like, they're such a strange scenario, because you're in the A all year, at times in the top 4, and you drop out on the final game of the season by a point. It feels like they should be in B. It really does. I don't think I can put them on the same level as the Crows. I really don't think I can. So I think I'm going to put the Blues in B. It's iffy, but I think I will be putting Carlton in B. In the finals all year, Michael Voss had them playing a different sort of way, a really exciting sort of way, especially in the first 5 to 10 rounds, and they were getting consistent results, challenging for top 4. The drop-off was just unreal. We got games like losing to Adelaide, being embarrassed by Brisbane, and I know it was at the Gabba, but the way they played in that final term was just embarrassing. Losing to St Kilda was also a pretty big low light for the Blues this season. Look, it was a season filled with inconsistencies, mostly in the second half of that season. Carlton will be in B, but they're very lucky not to be in C, and in fact I might even have to drop the Crows down. They feel a little bit too high up for me, but they might drop down, might stay there, I don't know. Collingwood, they are the A-est of A's. Collingwood, I think it's a dead on A, losing a prelim by a point. The second half surge of the year is like nothing I've ever seen before. A 14 game winning streak or something. About 10 of those were all under a goal. Collingwood, what a season. Craig McRae's built this not high possession footy. Yeah, they don't have a lot of the possession, but when their backline gets firing, if Murphy, Moore, Quainer, Noble, if they get out their back line, they're going straight down the middle, gutsy football, fast moving into the chaos balls into the dangerous forward line of Elliott or Ginnivan, and then or hitting a target of Myercheck, Cox or Cameron. Collingwood is such a dangerous side, and we're such a dangerous side this year, and the fact this is only Craig McRae's first year, you can only just sense that there's a matter of premierships to come for the Pies. I think the Bombers would probably have to be a D this year, not quite an E. I think they're reserved for two teams that we all know that I'm talking about. Made finals last year. You would think that they're on the up. Everyone had a lot of hope for them. I'd say a lot of people had them in their top 8 predictions. I certainly did, and yeah, they go and finish bottom 4 in what could only be described as a horror season. They've got their coach sacked. They don't have a coach at the moment. The club's a shambles. I mean, Essendon, Jesus Christ, it wasn't nice. It wasn't a nice season. I think all their fans just want to forget about it, get a new coach and move on. Fremantle, I think they would have to be an A. I think they would have to be an A. They made a semi. They got to the semis. And when we're thinking expectation, I think a lot of Freo fans just wanted to make finals. That was their number one goal, and that was probably what the club was thinking. If they can make finals, that's already a half successful season. But then to win a final, go to the MCG, to have to play Collingwood, that's a stage right sort of game. We've got a young list. I think it's an A season for how well we played at times. At times we were premiership favourites towards the start of the year. We were the best team in the comp to 2 to 3 round stretches, but it was the inconsistencies of when we brought our best footy week in, week out, like losses to Gold Coast and Collingwood throughout that middle stages of the season. And then the loss to Carlton at Marvel Stadium was really ugly. Yeah, it was a season filled of inconsistencies for the Dockers, and that's why I think it will be an A, because they did make a semi-final and played some of the best footy in the league at times. Geelong, that's an easy A+. They'll be the only team at A+. They won the premiership, minor premiership 2 games clear, strolled through the final series, almost a qualifying final blunder, but strolled through. Few point win against the Pies, 10-goal win against the Lions, 80-point win against the Swans. Easy does it. Geelong, they're not too old. I tipped them 12th at the start of the year. It's the worst tip I've ever made. That they could have a lot more premierships to come if their bodies all just stay right, because bloody hell, they are a force to be reckoned with. The way Chris Scott changed their game style this year from the slow, boring, outdated style that the Cats played, that was winning them games but wasn't taking them to the extra premiership step, to the fast-moving, gutsy, choking sort of football that we've become accustomed to with Geelong this year. What a year for the Cats. And as much as I hate to say it, I find them as a really likeable club. Gold Coast, interesting one. I think you have to go a C, because they were making finals pushes at times. There were serious finals conversations, but again, it's just inconsistencies. And what seems to happen for every year of the past 10 years that they've been in the competition, that they seem to burn out in the latter stages of the season and can't keep a full squad that is ready to go that extra step and play a really good brand of footy for the entire season. Stuart Dew's got a contract extension, which is really good to see, because I think he is the right man to take them forward. It looks like they'll lose Isaac Rankin over this offseason to the Adelaide Crows, which is a little bit disappointing. It looks like they'll also lose Fiorini and Bose. So yeah, a few losses for the Suns. I'm not sure how they're going to go next year, but yeah, if Stuart Dew can take their young side forward, Noah Anderson, Took Miller, Matt Rowell all coming out in the midfield to a hopefully healthy Ben King and Mabior Chol in the forward line. Yeah, Gold Coast, there'll be a team to be reckoned with, hopefully in 5 years' time, and then moving forward, because they're just not quite ready yet. The Giants, yeah, Jinglehurst and Essendon pretty much had an identical season. Made finals last year. Giants actually won a final against the grand finalists of this year, and then it's a season from hell. I think personally the Giants were the worst team to watch in the league this year. I think probably GWS and North Melbourne were the 2 worst teams to watch in the comp this year. I mean, it was just boring football. I think one shining light was the Himmelberg positional change to centre half back. He's really seemed to flourish there, but it's disappointing. It was a disappointing season for the Giants, to say the least. Just such a boring style of football that was never going to win them many games, really. They've just hired Adam Kingsley as their head coach, a pretty experienced assistant coach at Richmond. So yeah, hopefully he can take them forward in a decent direction, but yeah, average year. Hawthorn, I'm actually going to put them in C with the Crows and the Suns. I think Hawthorn, again, like Hawthorn and Adelaide are 2 teams that not a lot of the broader footy base have belief in, but I've had belief in them since the start of the year, the Crows and the Hawks. I thought Sam Mitchell would do something. I thought the Crows would do something, and they've finished in mid-table positions, which is, I mean, what you want to be doing in building clubs like this. Matthew Nicks has still got a real bare side. Sam Mitchell is his first year on the job. Hawthorn have an even barer side, really. And he's taken them to some pretty incredible wins, such as the win Easter Monday against the Cats. I actually attended that game, falling short by 10 points to the Dockers and the Demons. Hawthorn, they had a really solid year for what they could do. They were never really going to make a finals push, but they will over the next few years. I think Sam Mitchell looks like a really valuable piece of personnel to have around the club. Melbourne, I mean, I think they probably have to be an A. I don't think you can put them on the same level as Carlton. Went out in straight sets. They finished second in the regular season. Had a couple 10-goal batterings at Brisbane. They beat the Dockers by 10 goals as well. They lost to Collingwood twice, believe it or not. They started the season 10-0 though, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Then went on a streak of 3 straight losses against the Dockers, the Swans, and the Pies. I think it's a solid season, but straight sets is never how you want to be finishing your season, and I'm sure the Demons will look to build on that because it's not like their premiership window is anywhere near close to shutting. And North Melbourne E, what do you even want me to say? The club's a shambles. Noble's been sacked. Clarkson's in. He's now got a racism scandal. Their team is absolutely bare to the bones. They might get some guys like Logan, Tucker in this off-season, but apart from that, North Melbourne looked dreadful. Port Adelaide, yeah, C. They're a C as a C can get. Starting the season 0-5 after a couple top 4 finishes, including a minor premiership in 2020, and then, bloody hell, it was an ugly year for Port Adelaide. It was a really ugly year for the Power. They had a few losses that really just shook them up, and they couldn't really recover. It was an uphill battle from the 0-5 start. Ken Hinkley's game style started to get questioned because it just feels a little bit outdated. It just feels like Port Adelaide are in mediocrity every year. So yeah, they're going to be a C. Richmond is a B alongside Carlton for me. It still doesn't feel right Carlton's a B if they didn't make finals, but I think they have to be. I don't think they're on the level of Adelaide, Gold Coast, Hawthorn and Port. They had it up at, I mean, they're the most bipolar team in the comp for me. If we have a look at their first 6-7 rounds or so of the season, it goes loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win. So it's just so bipolar, Richmond, and that's why they just stayed in the dead middle of the table. They could, if they had a really good win, they backed it up with a really poor loss, and that's what killed them all season. Like, you've got games like where they almost pinched a win against the Cats. They lost by 3 points, to losing after the siren to Noah Anderson, and obviously losing to North Melbourne, drawing to Fremantle. There's just a few results that Richmond really were wanted to do better on, and that's what kept them in sort of the mid top 8 this season. They really couldn't find a breakthrough into top 4 if they tried. St Kilda is the hardest one on the list because I don't feel like they're at the level of C, but I don't feel like they're at the level of B. So I think, you know, fuck it. You know, I make the rules. I make the rules. We're making a new tier C+ just for St Kilda because I literally couldn't, like, it's such a hard tier to judge. Yeah, as I said, they're not at the level of Carlton and Richmond because they weren't really even close to finals in the end. I think they finished 10th. It's sad. It's a sad ending to the season for the Saints, considering they were in the top 4 for most of the first half of the season. But to flunk out as bad as they did in that second half was absolutely dreadful. They were the worst team to watch in the comp at times. Sydney are an A. They were grand finalists. Their second half surge was really premature. I would have thought that if either Fremantle or Sydney made a surge like the Swans did in that second half of the year, or in the final series, it would have been a bit premature because Sydney just have such a young list. I don't think they were ready for the grand final. Their pressure is incredible at their best, and that's what won them those games. But when they got to the grand final, they got a bit overwhelmed. But overall, a really good season for the Swans, and Swans fans should be really proud. The Eagles, it puts a smile on my face to say that West Coast are an E in the season 2022. COVID ravaged at the start of the season, but then there was no excuse for the rest of the season and most of the season. Their older players lost legs. Their game style was trying to adapt, but it just didn't pan out in the end. They didn't have the quality that they needed. They were playing debutantes buddy every week, I felt like, and it's not like they were any particularly good. I think Jai Cully was a shining light that they got in the mid-season draft, and then he went and got suspended for 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, Eagles, ugly season. And Western Bulldogs also get chucked in the B category with the Blues and the Tigers finishing 8th, scraping into finals. Another really, really bipolar year for the Bulldogs, coming off a grand final year. So there's my tier list. I've got the Cats in A+, the Lions, the Pies, the Dockers, the Ds, and the Swans in A, the Blues, the Tigers, and the Bulldogs in B, the Saints in C+. In fact, quickly, I'm going to put the Blues in C+, because I think it makes finals. The Saints and Blues in C+. In C, I've got the Crows, the Suns, the Hawks, and the Power. I've got the Bombers and the Giants in D, and I've got the Roos and the Eagles in E. So, thank you all for watching this video. Should have, hopefully, some more free content coming out soon. I'm going to America in 3 days, so I'm not sure how content's going to look from there on out, but I'll try and get content out while I'm in the land of the free. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Cheers.